fellow sewists, you are welcome to an insightful tutorial here on Lapery College of Fashion YouTube sewing channel, where we are already known for detailed, highly professional and simplified method of drafting patterns. In today's video, we shall be bringing to you how to draft your puff sleeve variations. Having drafted a basic sleeve pattern, how do we then modify to different designs of puff sleeve? So if that sounds like what you are interested in, then you need to keep watching this video till the very end. So I'll be starting with a very simple one. Looking at our basic sleeve pattern, all we have here are just lines, front, the center and the back line. And unlike the bodies and skirts where we'll be having darts, then we'll be talking about darts manipulation in fabricating designs. For the sleeve, there's nothing like that. So to fabricate designs, what we'll be applying will be the slashing method. Is either we slash and spread or we slash and lap. So for the puff sleeve, most time we'll be slashing and spreading. So for this first design we want to create now, we want to create fullness excess around this shoulder line, around the top region now. So all we'll do will be to draw our slash lines here and we'll simply spread. The excess will be here, while at this region it remains normal. So I'll go ahead now to draw my slash lines. So I've drawn my slash line here, and also be following the back line and the center line to actually cut through. So when you're slashing, you have to actually slash to the tip, but you not cut through. So this is what we'll have. Haven't slashed, I actually imputed just two slash lines. I follow the center line and the forearm and the back arm line to actually slash. So having slashed, I'll be going ahead now to pasting on another paper. Then I determine the fullness that I want imputed on each point. So having placed on another paper to determine the fullness this way, this is what we'll have. For the fullness, you can actually use your tape measure to measure, or you could just eyeball it to know the spacing that you want. Now, having created this fullness, how do we now dispose? There are several ways of disposing fullness, but the most commonly used for puff sleeves are gathers and pleats. So if you actually want to dispose using gathers, all you do will be to just connect, fine-tune this end line. So you could knot the center line, and when you get to fixing it, you dispose the fullness. But if you want to dispose using pleats, you actually need to first arrange the pleats in the direction where you want it to face. You could make it in such a way that it will face the side seam, or you could make it in such a way that it will actually face the center line. Whichever way, you need to pleat it on the pattern and trace it out before you cut. Another point you need to note is our basic sleeve creating need to making a puff, you need to extend slightly. Is that extra fabric, that extra layer that actually make the fullness created to actually give that effect, especially around the shoulder line like so. So having created our fullness this way, we'll also be going ahead now to increasing it. So it now depends on how high you want it. Then if probably you want to line, or you are putting anything to make it stable to bring out the structure or not. So if anything, you could just do 1 or 2 inches. So for this particular one, I'll be increasing it by 2 inches, which I'll just need to blend this way like so. And even for this other side, I'll simply increase and blend this way. So this first design will be using gathers to dispose the fullness. So all I'll just do will be to fine-tune it like so and simply cut out. But then I need to notch my center line like this. So we are good to go, cutting it out and placing on fabric. So placing on fabric, this is what we'll have. The importance of green line cannot be overemphasized. I had to put my green line to guiding me, and I had to notch it as my forehand, different from the back arm. And with this, we are good to go now to actually attaching it, and this will be disposed using gathers like so. So here we are, having attached. You can see the effect of the fullness. Hemline remains normal and fullness here, and this is disposed using girders like so. Can you see? So this is what you've been able to achieve with the variation 1. For this second variation of pulse sleeve, the shoulder region remains normal like this, so we'll be introducing fullness around this short sleeve length. And usually when you introduce fullness, that fullness has to be controlled. Sometimes you might use split girder, sometimes you might introduce elastic. So for this particular one, I'll be controlling it with the band. So I first need to remove the width of the band, about 1 inch for the band this way. Then I'll cut it off. Then I'll now later slash and spread. So slashing and spreading, now I'll be following my center line, the back arm and the forearm. Then I'll also introduce another slash line in between like so. Now fullness needs to be created here, so my slashing will start from this region upwards, while we do not cut this through. We will not cut it through. So I'll cut, getting to the tip, I'll stop like so. Then we're going ahead to placing it on another paper. Having slashed like so, it's always advisable for you to actually lumber, so that in case it cuts through, you know which one follow the next one. So I've done the slashing and numbering, then I'll be placing it on another paper. And to place on another paper, it's best to start the fullness creation at the center. So this is the center line. I'll be spreading, determining the spacing like so, like that. So that's how to get it done. So placing on another paper and creating fullness, this is what we have. I've gone ahead to trim off the armhole which does not have any form of fullness. So for this fullness created now, we'll be disposing this particular one using the pleats. And as usual, for the puff effect to come out nicely, it's best to always extend. So at this center line, I'll also extend it slightly. You could do 1.5. So I'm doing 1.5 here, and I'll just simply blend it to the side seam here, like so. This will make the puff effect to actually come out. Without that extension, it might not really be that looking beautiful when done, and it will not really come out. So if I turn like so, then I trim, and before trimming now, we need to now arrange the way you want the pleats to actually relax. So for this, I'll be pleating it, disposing like this, making sure it's actually facing the side seam line. Then at the center line, I'll actually shear the fullness into 2 like so. And even for this region, and it's until then now I'm good to go now to trim. Even the marking now, I need to remark so that it will actually blend very well. Then using my tracing wheel, I'll trace it out, then you'll be able to cut. This will make the pleat to actually relax. There will not be any form of shortage while fixing it on. So having arranged the pleats and cutting out, this is what we'll have, and the pleats will actually be controlled back to the normal position with the help of the band. Even if there's any disparity, all you do will be to just ease it in like so, because this extension might make that circumference a bit wider than the circumference of the band. So centralize and just ease it in, and you are good to go like so. So let's place it on fabric and do the sewing to see the final outcome. So placing on fabric, this is what we'll have. This is that of the band. I had to put it on fold here, and this is the same allowance which we'll be using to attach. And this is the main sleeve now. You have to notch so that we could actually know how to do the arrangement of the pleats properly. So the start of the notching the pleat and where it will rest like so, this way. And for the other side, this is the start, this way is resting this way. And when it gets here, it will be facing the other direction this way for proper guidance like so. So let's get to do the sewing, then we'll see the effects of what we have been able to create. So this is what we have. You could see the armhole without any fullness, and now we are having fullness here disposed using pleats and the band now helping us to control it in place like so. Now for this third variation of purse sleeve, we want to create the fullness both up here around the shoulder line and also here. That means I'll be slashing and be creating the fullness all the way. So I'll go ahead to introduce more slash, and I'll actually be following these other lines, but I need to introduce another slash lines in between. So I'll draw it this way, that way. So having drawn my slash lines, I've gone ahead to number, and I did the slashing at first this way, though we are still going to be cutting it through because we are introducing fullness up and down. But it was necessary for this type to have a guideline, so that was why I draw this line, which will be helping me to do my proper arrangement. For the first one that we did, we created fullness here, so the hem line helped us to secure, to guide us. For the second one, we created fullness here, so this arm region was what helped us to secure the patterns together. But this particular one, we are going to be cutting everything through this way, so we needed something to guide. So you need to rule a line like this, so now be arranging and determine this fullness, the spacing as you want. Then it's best to first number, so that in case it scatters, you can always rearrange. So I'll go ahead now to create my fullness both up and down like so, all the way. So here we are. We've been able to create the fullness, and it's best to also extend here and likewise at this region. So you could be doing about 1.5 inches thereabout and simply blend. And it's also possible that the hem, you increase it slightly here with about 1/2 inch, which will make it to actually relax and sit very well. So I'll go ahead now to fine tune and cut out properly. So cutting out and placing on fabric, this is what we have. So I'll be going ahead to disposing this using the gathers method, because I did not actually arrange the pleats if I wanted to use pleats. So for this other region now, I'll be using an elastic to actually control the fullness created here. So let's do that and see what we have. So here we are for the third variation, fullness created up, fullness created down. Are you loving it? Kindly give this video a thumbs up, and if you are yet to subscribe, kindly subscribe and also hit that notification bell for more of such tutorials. It's also possible to have this actually up to elbow length and still applying the same principle, the same technique. The only thing that it gets longer this way. So you are good to go achieving any length of your choice. It's also possible to have our puff sleeve long sleeve instead of those short ones that we just did, and by so doing you'll be having balloon sleeve or the leg on mutton, another variation of puff sleeve. So for this particular one now, we are going to be maintaining this region so that it is fitted all the way here. Then from somewhere around the elbow line now, we are having fullness. So how do you get to do such and yet there is no seam? All you do will be to cut through from the hemline upwards to wherever you actually want the fullness to be starting from. So this is my elbow length. So for this particular one, I'll be making use of my elbow length as guide. So I'll simply cut through the center line this way. Then following the elbow line, I'll cut it to this other hem, but I will not cut it through, just at the tip so that it will not cut through like so. I still need to cut it slightly. Then I'll do the other side likewise. So placing the pattern on another paper to create the fullness here, this is what we'll have. So it's up to you to actually spread depending on how full you want. So for me, this is just okay. And as usual, I would not just be connecting it this way. To create fullness, I'll be extending it slightly. So I'll extend like so, which I'll be blending this way, and likewise on this other side, I'll simply extend So cutting it out and placing on fabric, this is what we have. So you could actually leave the hemline to just flare out this way, or you could actually control it with elastic, or you actually gather it and use fabric to actually pipe it, or something more like a band to control it. Whichever way you are good to go like that. So you can actually still slash and spread further anyhow you want it. As designer, you could be that creative, do it as much as you desire, something around this nature that even flare out and be that volume. You know, this is YouTube, we cannot really go into full detail like that. So but with the knowledge you acquire, you'll be able to apply it to get further variations of puff sleeve designs like that. And if you are interested in our paid class, you could actually join our paid class on sleeve and other, where we'll actually have enough time to go into further details, and you could ask questions as you desire. So moving on, so here's the final outcome of the fourth variation. Fullness here, while the upper part remains fitted like so. So for your basic sleeve pattern, I already have a detailed video on how to draft your basic sleeve pattern using Lapery's simplified and professional method. The link is already in the description box below. You may watch how to draft so that you can use it to make your own sample. So for the fifth variation, it's also possible to actually maintain the fitness around this lower region and create excess around this end. So to do that, we'll be doing it by cutting through from here till the point that you actually want the fitness to start from and the fullness to end. So if you actually want it around before the elbow length, you pick the measurements, maybe around this region like so. So you mark. I'll go ahead to draw the straight line on that line. Having drawn the line, we'll be cutting through from this region like so, and you go this way and this other way, which I've already done like this. And with this now, we could actually spread as much as we desire like so. So be creating an exaggerated puff sleeve around this region, fullness this way, which you can actually dispose using gathers or pleats like that. So go ahead now to place it on another paper to finish up. You also need to increase the height this way as desired. So here we are cutting out and placing on fabric and adding the necessary seam allowances. So go ahead now to prepare and do the sewing, then we'll attach. So this is what we'll have. Are you loving it? Introducing slash and spread technique to creating exaggerated puff sleeve. Just like this type of sleeve now will require enhancements. Maybe you introduce a stiffener to actually make the shape, the structure to be in place. So easy applying stretch and spread technique on our basic sleeve pattern. So these are the patterns once again that produce all of those lovely designs by simply introducing slash and spread technique to our basic sleeve pattern. I would like you to practice, and as you are practicing, you can be as creative as whatsoever to creating different lovely other designs for your sleeve. Kindly follow us on all our social media platforms. You may also join our paid classes where we have detailed tutorial on several topics like gaping, contouring, skirt variation, skirt sewing class, shirt making, and a whole lot more. I'm sure you've learned from this video. Kindly give it a thumbs up. And if you are here to subscribe, kindly subscribe, join the Lapery YouTube family. Until my next video, thank you for watching. Bye for now.
Lapery College of Fashion, raising professionals.